Welcome to the Truly Kenya podcast. If you are listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, please like and subscribe. If you are a visual person and you're watching us on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and share there also. Welcome. I'm glad to see you guys back. This week, I am speaking to Dr. Allycin Hicks. She's a PhD relationship expert and a psychofuturist. Is that right? Okay.
Some new stuff.
Okay, because I never heard of it. But Dr. Allie will explain that. She has TV appearances on Secrets and Sisterhood and Family or Fiance and Mother Like Daughter.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I've had problems in all those. Anyways, so welcome, Dr. Allie. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
And okay, so first, can I start just because I've never heard the word psychofuturist? Like, what is that?
I entirely made it up.
I love it.
I'm a fan of a neologism, which is like a new word. I'm always here to create something. And basically, it is how we maintain this like cutting edge perspective on psychology and the study of psychology.
Yes.
How do we make sure we keep pace with human development and kind of where we're going and where we are? Because let's be real, AI is here.
Yes.
I don't know how we're going to end up using it in the future, but
yeah.
it's going to impact the way humans function, the way humans remember, the way humans create. And so how do we make sure that we keep up with the study of these things that are happening? Because sometimes when you're in larger systems, it can kind of slow you down. So I have like a think tank coming out. So we can make sure to keep up, keep in pace with what's happening with humans.
Do you think that we can keep up with really? I don't know. AI honestly really does frighten me.
Yeah.
It does. Like, I don't know. Where is it going? You know what I mean? Like, everything that was predicted, whether you looked at the Jetsons, I don't know if it's a cartoon or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's all happening.
Isn't
they're
it amazing?
they're selling cars that can fly right now.
Yeah.
that
I have a
people can
watch
buy.
we can chat with.
Yes.
I can chit chat with somebody right now on my watch.
Yes. It's
wild.
just crazy. So I am one of those frightened by AI and I don't know. The holograms. I just saw this hologram and I don't know how they did it, where Drake is on stage and the hologram is sitting on a sofa and it passes Drake, the rapper, a real book. Or I don't know, because Drake is
He's
opening
thumbing
up
through it.
Yes. So I don't know what, but just in robots, will people need other people? Like, will women need men and men need? I don't know. I'm really frightened by it.
I may eat these words. I'm not scared of AI yet.
Okay, love it.
I may eat these words though. I mean, I'm flexible. I'm fluid. I move, right?
Yes.
I'm not going to stay stuck.
Yes.
If AI presents itself as a threat, I will treat it as one.
Yes.
But right now they're trying to create like it's like an approximation of a human, right? And the reason I'm not totally afraid of it yet is humans, we don't even understand ourselves, right? The problem of consciousness.
Right.
We don't really, scientists who like dedicate their lives to consciousness have to kind of admit that we know parts of it. We understand elements of it, but we really don't understand the totality of why it is the two of us are experiencing this right now.
Right.
Why I can smell that candle and I understand that your shirt has different shades of green.
Yes.
We don't really understand why we understand what that is. We understand how our brain perceives it,
right,
but not how we put it together. It's the term, it's called qualia.
Okay.
This idea of what is the experience of the redness of an apple, right?
Okay, yes.
And so until we can understand that.
You may be too smart for me to be talking to.
No, girl. We're here together. We're here together to communicate.
No, but that's true.
But until we get that,
yeah,
I feel like how are we going to understand, how are we going to make technology smarter than us when we don't even know how smart we are?
Right.
So I'm kind of like, I'll give it a pause. And then I used to teach a media psych class at Cal State LA. And one of the first lessons I taught my students was Socrates, the like ancient philosopher, right? Known for like so many amazing things, Socratic method. He's done all these cool things. He was afraid to use the alphabet because the alphabet was a new technology at the time. Everything before him, let's establish different communities and different cultures had written language. Right. But whatever, Eurocentric history. But by the time the alphabet got to Greece and Rome, he was like, I'm not using it. He was like, it's going to make people boring and it's going to decrease people's memory. So everything we know about the work of Plato was about the work of Socrates was written by his mentee, Plato. And so everyone hates new technology. Nobody likes it.
Yes.
And the alphabet did not go away because Socrates didn't like it. We all
true.
using it.
Have you yet tried, because you seem to have a good grasp on what's happening and not afraid of it. Have you tried to put yourself like in chat was it GPS or GTS
GPT?
or GPT,
GPT?
like to answer in your voice, because you have been on TV. There are works with your voice on these shows.
Everywhere.
How would Dr. Allie respond to whatever?
And that's how people are going to misuse it, right? That's what the scammers are doing.
Yeah.
They'll call you up and get your voice.
I think you should check whatever. You should check and see if you're in there, in the system.
Well, there is this thing that you can do. My husband is truly the tech genius in our family. There is this like app, this platform that you can use, and you can have it like, you just give a sample of your voice and it will read a script in your voice, like something you type in, like copy. And so it's definitely happening. Yeah. Like it's definitely, I haven't done that yet though.
They're talking about like, be careful answering the phone calls for numbers you don't recommend, because the only thing you have to do is say yes or no or whatever. So now I'm like, if I don't recognize a number, leave a message and then I'll make the decision. You need to leave me a message and I'll make the decision if I'm going to call you back.
I spoke to a telemarketer the other day and I was thinking the whole time, am I being tricked? Are they trying to steal my information? Right. Wow. Yeah, it's a lot.
So, okay. So you have been on a few different TV shows. Which one was your favorite?
You know, it's hard because they're all my favorite for different reasons, right? Like I did Love and Hip Hop, and I loved that. I know
that sounds like a long day's work.
It was. I didn't have to do that much, but yeah. And they're all my favorite for different reasons, because I come on these shows as an expert, right? I come on these shows as someone who's here to help people understand what's going on that I'm actually facing on the show, and then there's maybe millions of people, at least hundreds of thousands of people that are also watching who may be having similar experiences. So I'm kind of thinking this dualistic way. And I loved my show for a number of reasons, right? One of my favorites because it was the first time that I had ever been able to kind of like lead something. You know, normally you just come and you do what the producers tell you and then you go home. And so it was nice to have a little bit of ability.
Okay, that would be my favorite.
Yeah, to create something that was kind of from your own perspective. Like I didn't create the show, but I got to create a lot of like do some of the producing in a way and have more input. It was really wonderful. But then there's also a lot of pressure, right? If I had a bad day, everyone had a bad day. You know, because it was like me. And so that was a big maturing for me, and having to realize like this is how you have to show up. Yes. Like if you have a bad day, you got to figure out how to manage it.
How do you
until
manage?
After filming?
I can't picture you with a bad day right now.
Girl,
but if you had a bad day, how would a person, if like I wake up every day, I wake up grateful. I don't always end my day grateful, but I start the day real grateful. Okay. But people do get on my nerves. Okay. So, but if a person finds themselves struggling, I mean, what is there any, I know is there some tips? I don't know whether it's that do you have some tips?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
If we are waking up already in a bad place, you know, just it ain't gonna be a great day.
Sometimes it's just not. But okay,
how do we
so
turn it around?
Me personally, I'm an anxious person.
Okay.
Anxiety seems to be the mental health issue du jour in my life. And so for me, I had to start to realize that anxiety and excitement, my body doesn't know the difference. Right? It knows heart rate. It knows I'm sweating. It knows I'm thinking fast. It knows I'm moving fast. Yes. And so I will do like a mental shift sometimes, because sometimes I'm just anxious for the sake of being anxious. There's not actually anything bad happening around me. I am just a ball of something, you know? And so I'll do kind of like a mental shift, and I'll tell myself, no, I'm not scared for like to come on this show, for example. I'm excited to get to share some of the things that I know with somebody that I'm just meeting, and I get to like make a new friend and like do all this stuff. So I pivot it in my own mind to, oh, my heart's responding this way because it's excited. So that's number one. So yeah, like a mental pivot, and you can do that with a lot of different things. Okay. But I think anxiety is a pretty good tool for that. Okay. Then I get moving. I get active. So even if I'm like on set, like I'll be in my room doing weird stuff. Okay. Like. All right. I'll be in a yoga position. Oh, okay. I'll be. You will find me.
Whatever it takes. I know the crew is like, well, look, whatever she needs to do, let her do it. Whatever she wants to do, let her do it.
Literally, especially if we're filming like early or something. I'm like, let me get a good downward dog. And so those are some of the things that I do. So I like to get active. I like to change the way that I think. And for me, I really do well with other people. right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
not someone who does well in isolation or by myself. So I
Oh,
talk to people, I
yeah.
chat with people, I'll have like, phone calls and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But if you're a person who does need to have that solo time, take the time and make it constructive. Do something with it. Plan out something, write
Mm-hmm.
something down, express your feelings on
Mm-hmm.
paper.
Mm-hmm.
So do something to kind of like help all of this stuff that's inside of you to come out. Those are great
Mm.
mechanisms to kind of like shake your
Right.
day up and get it back on the track you want it to be on.
Has there been anyone that you've come in contact on your show or one of the other shows that you have appeared and helped out with that you either kept in contact later or thought about later? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think about like almost all of them.
really?
I do have this problem where because I really honor confidentiality, even
Yeah.
if it's on TV, there's
Yeah.
stuff that we
Right.
talk about that nobody
Okay.
that
Yes,
never
they don't.
airs.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so I sometimes do this thing where I literally forget
Yes.
that I even met with somebody because I shut it out so I can
Oh,
maintain the
yes.
confidentiality.
Yeah. Oh,
So I'm
yes.
like
Yes.
like I have like a
Yes.
wall. But oh my God, there's been so many people, especially on Family or Fiance,
Yeah.
because you're working with families, and so sometimes
Mm-hmm.
there's like kids involved, and I don't think there's any under 18 on the
Yeah.
show, but you're seeing these family systems, and my heart
Are
breaks.
those real?
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Have you, in your experience, when a person has to make a choice, family or fiance, because I know which one I think I would choose, but what have, if they choose a fiance, has it panned out? Or if they chose family, do they end up heartbreak thinking what could have, would have, should have been? Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. I
is,
do have one. I am thinking about something,
yeah.
but I feel like this. People are probably going to choose love
Mm-hmm.
over family
Mm-hmm.
initially.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, can we cuss on this?
Yeah. Yes. Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Because if
Yes.
somebody's
Yes.
fucking you,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
that's something your family cannot do, should
Right.
not do.
Right.
And so there's something about moving in the direction of where you're getting your love needs met,
Yeah.
your intimate love needs met. People tend to move in that direction. And then there's a possibility that the family actually might be toxic, because that does happen sometimes where there
Mm-hmm.
maybe
Mm-hmm.
should be some boundaries. I'm not a huge fan of just going silent on family
Yes.
entirely.
Okay.
I'm
Yes.
not, I think, what do they call it? Like, I don't know. They
Okay.
call it something now.
Okay.
Not a huge fan of that. Even,
Okay.
but there's boundaries are important,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
But I feel like when you choose your partner over your family, that doesn't tend to go well, because
When
you need
choose
those,
your partner. Okay. Okay.
especially if you have a
Okay. Yes.
reasonably healthy
Yes.
family,
Yes.
right? If they're
Okay.
not stone cold,
Right. She
abusive,
said if you have a
toxic,
reasonably healthy family.
healthy
Okay.
family. Like,
Okay.
we're not talking
Right.
about physical abuse, sexual abuse,
Right.
verbal abuse. If you have a family
Right.
with a lot of that going on, this is a whole different
Right.
conversation. But if you have a reasonably healthy family and they're telling you like this doesn't smell right, I don't think this is like the person for you, or maybe you
Right.
need to slow down.
Right.
Because I hear a lot of that too. Like, maybe you should just go slower.
Yes. Yes.
And the person's like, absolutely not. I need this.
Right.
Then you start to think maybe there's something going on with this individual where they're not feeling cared for a number of
Yes.
different reasons.
Mm.
And so they found this person that's caring for them, even though it might not be the best relationship, but they're like, but it's something and I like it and I want it. And you're not going to tell me no.
Mhm.
So it's a situation I think a lot of us have been in, where you tell your friend, like,
Right.
I don't know how I feel about that. And so they disappear, they ghost you.
Right.
But then they come back like 6 years later, like,
yes.
girl, it sucked.
You were right. That nigga's crazy.
It was crazy as shit. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Because your family will normally take you back.
Yeah.
So.
And you know what's so interesting, because when I was thinking like, God, which one would I choose? And I think I have a relatively normal family
Mhm.
that is very loving. I was really thinking about that. And until you just explain it, honestly, I said, I think I would go with the fiance.
Most people do. Most people do.
Yeah, but now that you've explained it differently, I'm thinking like, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I would like take it I would take anything super slow. I'm just coming out of a divorce. Okay.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
anyways, I move super slow. But yeah, that was really, because I was one of that. And I didn't really know why
Mhm.
until you just said that, yeah, okay, this guy's doing you. This guy is giving you some love needs probably that your family can't get. It all makes
They
sense.
can't give it to you.
Yeah, because I was like, why would I choose him though?
Yeah.
Over the family or whatever.
Exactly. It's different when your significant other tells you you're the most beautiful person they've ever seen than when
Right.
your mom does.
Mm,
Right?
Yes.
Mom means it.
Yes.
It's coming from her heart.
Yes.
But she's always going to see the beauty in you,
Yes.
right? Because
Yes.
you're her baby. And,
Yes.
she's been there from the beginning. But when that new person says it, you're like, oh, wait,
Yeah.
this is something different. And I would say, it's important to have balance.
Yeah.
Right. So to hear what your family's saying.
Yes.
To internalize it, maybe take a few days away from your partner. Because if you're up underneath them, it's hard to take the information from somebody else because the person's constantly in your face and you're seeing the up close version of them. Right. But sometimes you need to take that step back. Right. And that can be helpful.
I think I have, I know people that before they got with their person were super independent and friendly and around all the time. And even when we're around him, he seems super nice to all of us, catering, just a nice guy. But the stories, you know what I mean? When she's on the phone and she's talking and she kind of lets you in a little bit, they always come off very controlling and trying to isolate them. And when you seem God, what a sociopath, you know what I mean?
And you can see it.
Yeah. But you, maybe even if you couldn't quite put your finger on it, but something is off. Do you know what I mean? And so I'm thinking, why don't you with them all the time? Why don't you, do you feel it? You know
you can't see it when you're in it. It's like when you're the frog in the pot, right?
Yeah.
They boil the pot starts to get hot slowly while they're in it. And they don't even notice that they're cooking to death because the temperature's changing so slowly.
Oh, is that true?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm a vegan.
Oh. No, are you a real vegan?
I am.
No eggs?
None of it.
Really?
But yeah, I don't want to boil little frogs.
Oh.
But yeah, so when you're in it, you can't feel it. I was actually going to do a video this morning about covert control and a lot of relationships that we're seeing where it's not necessarily that someone will directly say I'm going to abuse you.
Right.
But it's little things you find this super fly girl who's amazing and cute and powerful and independent. And you love those things about her. You reached out to her and you're I want to date you. And then all of a sudden it's oh, well, maybe you should wear different clothes. Maybe you shouldn't socialize.
Keke Palmer and the boyfriend?
I might be. But all of a sudden, oh, maybe you shouldn't dress like that, or you shouldn't associate with those people that you used to associate with.
So is that controlling or care?
I think it's controlling. I think that when you're trying to tell someone to change something that's not dangerous, right? If somebody's doing drugs, they're doing something harmful, that they're actually harming their bodies, they're using a substance to the point where it's not safe, and you're yo, can we look into this?
So
that's
let me
different.
Ask you, with this whole Kiki thing, if he had spoken, I don't think necessarily what he said to her was bad. I think taking it to the internet was not the best thing, but I think it's okay because when she turned around and all of the ass was out, I was
them cakes.
Whoa. You know what I mean? Okay, but little cheerleader over here. Okay, so I was okay, I could see, but so if he would have said to her in private, hey, do you what could he say to not make him seem like a jerk? Is there anything he could have said?
I cannot cape for him. No. I cannot give him any.
Okay, so there wasn't in private on Instagram.
No,
nothing.
I feel like it's just a slow process, right? People change over the course of their time of their lives. Maybe in 5 years, Kiki wouldn't have wanted to wear that anyway. You have to let people move when they want to move and do what they want to do when they want to do it, as long again as it's not harmful. Right. Wearing an outfit isn't going to hurt anybody, but we kind of have this purity culture that tells us that somehow you're they shame women for wearing certain clothes. They blame women for negative things that happen to us if we happen to be wearing a pair of shorts or a skirt or something like that. And that's just not true.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because sexual assault, abuse, things like that have nothing to do with how a woman really looks. Right. It is this assertion of power over her, right? And so I'm wear what you're going to wear. Would I wear it if I worked out more? Absolutely. But
okay, so
but today
your techie husband would be
oh yeah.
Go Dr. Allie with them cakes.
Yep.
Go.
He's also a photographer and primarily shoots women nude.
Yes.
That's his thing. He likes shooting nudes because he feels they're timeless.
Yes.
And he's a fine art photographer and stuff. So yeah, he's no, I can wear what I want to wear. I just happen to be in a space right now where the pandemic had me sitting for a long time.
So the body ain't
the body ain't bodying. The body ain't bodying though. It's not bodying.
It looks fine to me.
I mean, because I've done what I needed to do. But body ain't bodying yet. Yes. So, it's but let me have a little Kiki body.
Yes.
And you might see some cakes.
And you know what I was thinking? I was wondering, after being pregnant and a new mom, you finally got your own body back. So maybe that was just like, I just want to do this.
Just
I don't even, not even, maybe she wouldn't have never done it again. Maybe it's Usher. I'm going out. We're going out for the first time. I'm really feeling good.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah, because when I think of Kiki, she's normally pretty covered up. I mean, I don't really see her looking
all the time. And I was like, this is not even, you know what I mean? So I was thinking like, maybe it's like, I finally got my body back.
So it's like projection, right?
Yeah.
It's like, so maybe he felt insecure because what it is
That's what I
they
definitely
feel,
think.
right? They see what drew them
Right.
in, right? They
Right.
were drawn to a woman's this particular
Right.
thing. And now that thing isn't just theirs,
Right.
hidden under some little shelf or
Right.
in some little box.
Right.
They get uncomfortable that other men might find their wife,
Yeah.
girlfriend,
Yeah.
baby's
I
mother,
definitely
whatever,
think he was
attractive.
insecure.
And I think that's more of what it was. I think
Yeah.
if she had been sitting there by herself, it wouldn't have been an issue.
Oh,
But the
yes.
fact that Usher came up, which she's going to, because we
Yeah.
all have to
Yes.
honor Lady Kiki.
Right.
Queen Kiki.
Right.
We all have to. And so, of course, he's going to come over and pay homage.
Right.
You know, and so I think that it was just really difficult for him to process. I don't know this man. I don't know
Right.
his
I don't
his
know
processing.
I don't either. I don't know.
Yeah, but it just
I
kinda
think it is hard.
sounded
I would
like
think
that.
it would be hard for a man to be a stay-at-home husband while your, wife is Kiki Palmer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you don't.
Yeah.
Seems like you don't have a lot going
That's it.
on. I mean, you got the baby, so that is a lot. But I mean, just I don't know.
Because also society tells
Yeah.
us that a man's role is to be outside of the
For
house bringing
sure.
in money, and a
Yeah.
woman's role is to be at home with children. And that is changing.
Yes.
It is changing
Yes.
fast.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of guys are really feeling unstable
Mhm.
because they've been told by their dads and their
Providers.
grandfathers and their great grandfathers that all you have to do is make like $60,000 a year.
Mm.
Because it's established that you have to make more money now than ever.
Ever.
I mean, and
Mhm.
so much money
Mhm.
that the average person is not going to make that. And that's okay. Like, I think the
Right.
average income in the United States is something like $50,000 to $60,000
Wow.
average income.
Wow.
And in certain states, that
Mhm.
is fine.
Mhm.
And in this state,
Mhm.
that is much more difficult, right? And so you're making the average income or maybe slightly even above the average income, but now it's not enough to really
Mhm.
give your family the life that maybe you've seen on TV in the past or you told
Yeah.
you're supposed to give, but you weren't taught to do anything else. All you were taught was to make money, come home, take your shoes off and sit in front of the TV and wait for dinner.
Yeah.
So now women can do that too, right?
Yes.
Women can make $70,000
Right.
a year, 100,000, 200, 500
Right.
million. Women can make money too. You know, like I think the first woman was allowed to get a bank account in like the 60s, like a
Oh my
legal bank
gosh.
account.
Wow.
So this is like our
Yes.
grandmas
Yes.
that were allowed to get bank accounts as adults, right? Our mothers were children.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so now we have been 2 generations out of that. And so we can do what we need to do. We can take care of our family financially. So if the man isn't being empathetic, if he
Right.
isn't able to have like in-depth conversations and communicate about his emotions and have emotional intelligence and be a friend as well as a lover, as
Yes.
well as a spiritual leader, if that's something that you want. If he can't do all of those things, we have girlfriends.
Yeah.
We can make the money,
I
have the
don't think
babies, and then have friends.
Right. But I don't think when I come across, and I've only come across one woman in my lifetime who said her husband filled her cup. Like her
Mhm.
husband was everything to her. And even in when I was married,
Mhm.
I thought we were like my
Mhm.
my ex-husband was one of my best friends, but I don't think he was filling the whole cup. Do you know
Mhm.
what I mean? And I was just like, how is that possible? Because what role do your friends play?
Yeah.
And when I think that, I don't know, whenever I'm out and somebody's talking about how perfect everything is,
You're
it
like,
usually isn't. I think they put too much on it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know if one person can be everything
I agree with you.
to any other person.
I agree with you. That's a lot of pressure to put on
A
somebody
lot
too.
of pressure.
To say you're my everything, you're my
Yeah.
best friend, you're my
Yeah.
confidant, you're my lover,
My
you're my
reason for being
this.
happy.
Yeah.
It's
Ugh,
too much.
That's terrifying.
Too much.
Yeah, it is.
But do you find this generation of women that are coming up are like, we ain't even looking, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like they're looking, but when they realize that they're not finding kind of the idealistic version of what they want to find,
Yeah.
they're kind of moving towards this. Oh, I'm just going to travel. I'm just going to get a group of girlfriends. I'm going to
Yeah.
bank I'm going to freeze my eggs
Yeah.
and we'll see what happens.
Yes.
So that's
yes.
I've been seeing a lot of that.
Yeah. Okay. So on the show, can we talk about mother-daughter relationships?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So mother like daughter.
Mhm.
Were any of those relationships unhealthy? Like, this is clearly unhealthy and you probably need a little more.
Yeah.
Did you come across like, well, when mother and daughters are in these unhealthy relationships, Do you think they realize the relationship is unhealthy, or do they think, well, that's my, is it, that's my mother? You know what I mean?
One, there were definitely unhealthy relationships. And there's so much flow in even describing a relationship as unhealthy, right? But there definitely were.
Yeah.
And yes, I think we absolutely lose sight of perspective, especially with our parents, because they're the people who set in our lives what is normal. Right? That's, from the time we were a blip until maybe, 18, whenever you move out, that is the person that those are the people that you experience as your like baseline. Like this is how you learn how to maneuver in the world based on the way that your parents interact, or your caregivers, grandparents, whoever was there. And it sets you on a trajectory. So we have like this concept called attachment styles.
Okay.
And so there's like, I'm not going to get them all. So all you psychologists out there, comment.
Right.
There's anxious attachment and disorganized attachment, and then there's like a healthy attachment. And so if you have like inconsistent parents that are kind of like maybe abusive one day, not the next, here one day, not the next, nice one day, and you just can't really put a beat, then you can create what's called a disorganized attachment style. And that can be really difficult. There's also avoidant attachment style. Haha, I've gotten it. And with the disorganized attachment style, that can manifest into like certain personality disorders or things like that. But typically it's very all over the place. It's a very push-pull relationship where you're pulling somebody close to you and then rejecting them very quickly. And then with like an anxious attachment style, you can see somebody who's constantly chasing a partner, constantly like, pay attention to me. I'm here. I'm going to call you. I'm going to text you. I'm going to make sure you know I'm here. I'm around. And a lot of times the anxious attachment find the avoidant attachment, and the avoidant folks are the ones who are running. They're the ones who will ice you out.
Yes.
They're the ones who, when they get upset, it's like, it's ice. It's quiet. It's alone. I have to leave the house. I have to go. And so the anxious person is still like, but me, I love you. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And they're chasing. And the avoidance like, I'm out of here. And those things get set early on in life when we're children. And so when you look at these mother-daughter relationships, you get a really good opportunity to see when that happened and how that happened, right? And you'll see, and they'll start to think that this is just normal. It's just how life is. Yeah, my mom calls me out of my name. She, hit me when I was a kid, and sometimes we go to blows, and that's just how it is. But it doesn't have to be, right? That's not healthy. That's not anything that helps a person to grow and find out who they are and to move through their life with confidence, right? It can create these types of attachment, these unhealthy attachment styles.
Do you think through therapy that they can reestablish these relationships in a more healthy way? And especially Black people, I would think even the generation above me may not be the quickest to go to therapy, but let's just say they did. If they stop therapy, do you find that they slowly get back to those unhealthy, do you know what I mean? Like,
that's a good question.
Practices. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen a relationship and you thought it was, okay, good, you guys are off. You've reestablished this foundation. You got it. Go be happy. Whether your mother, your daughter, your husband, your wife, whatever. And then all of a sudden they end up back to what brought you here.
I think that is a beautiful question, because it speaks to this. If I start therapy with my partner, with my mom, by myself, with whomever, do I have to perpetually be in therapy forever? Or if I stop, is there a point at which I can stop? When does it make sense? Am I going to like fall back down into, the behaviors that I had? And I would say yes and no, right? It's about the relationship between you and your clinician, right? So I do a lot of coaching. So my stuff is like from high up, and we're getting like reaching goals and stuff like that. But with like in the trenches therapy, you're going through something right now, a trauma, something just happened. You learn a lot of skills. You learn an ability to internalize, to like look at yourself. And those are things that you do hold on to. Like I like to say, because clients will come back sometimes and be like, oh my God, it's been so hard for me. Like everything kind of fell apart. But I say, but was it as bad as it had been before? And they'll kind of be like, No, it was
Mhm,
bad, but it
mhm.
was like a little different because I did this one thing and that one thing.
Right.
So there are things that you always kind of
So
pick
they have
up.
some new tools.
Yeah, there's like some
Mhm,
tools that you pick
mhm,
up and you kind
mhm.
of squirrel away. You put them here, you put them there. And so you'll see people will be able to utilize them. But life is going to keep lifing.
Right.
Bad things are going to keep happening. Good things are going to keep happening. Neutral things are going to keep happening.
Mhm.
And so you're going to constantly be confronted with just the chaos of living.
Yes.
And so you're still going to have bad days.
Yeah.
And that's when you can go back into therapy, call your therapist up. Like they're trying to build this like medical model of therapy now where you don't go see your gynecologist every week just to
Right.
see her, right?
Right.
You go to see your unless you're sick, unless
Right.
something's going on with
Mhm.
you in that area, then maybe you have to see her every week, every 3 weeks, whatever. But you go for maintenance. I'm not a
Yeah.
gynecologist. I don't know what the maintenance
Right.
schedule is.
Yeah.
But yearly, every 3 years, I
Yeah,
don't know.
no, yearly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yearly.
I
Okay.
think you get your pap smear
Yeah, it gets a little
yearly.
thing
Yeah.
done. Yeah. And so when it comes to mental health, right? So you've now locked in with a therapist, you've done work with them for however long the two of you have felt like needed to be. And then
Mhm,
sometimes you can terminate a relationship with the therapist just because you're kind of feeling better.
mhm,
And that's for you and your therapist to figure out. And then you can kind of go about your life. And then maybe something pops up.
mhm,
And you're like, you know what? I wish I could call Dr. or Mr. or Mrs. So and
mm,
so.
mhm.
So you can call them back and
Yeah.
they're still on your team and you can just set an appointment because something has kind of come up and they can remind you,
Mm.
like, okay, last time we spoke, we
Yeah.
talked about these 5
Yes.
things. Which one of these things are still there for you? Like, let's get back into it. So you don't have to be in therapy consistently,
Mm.
especially if you and your clinician are able to work and if to figure
Right.
out that you're like kind of ready to go
Right.
and try it on your own.
And will they tell you, go, go,
Mhm.
go, little bird, go.
Yes.
Fly.
Fly, live. Yes,
Really?
they will.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. So they'll let you know
Hmm.
when. Okay.
And sometimes you can let them know and be like,
Yeah.
you know what, I'm feeling kind of good. But I've noticed that a lot of people don't feel like they can tell their therapist that,
I think it would be
right?
hard.
Yeah.
I had one therapist that I had gone to. Like, I believe in therapy. I
Love
totally
it.
believe in
Love it.
therapy. And I wanted to break up with her for so long.
Mm.
And like, I dreaded going to her.
Mm.
And so in turn that made me not really talk, really want to talk and share. And who knows? She maybe she hated me too. I don't know. It just was not a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
Like, can therapists be like, I don't like this person, or I don't think I'm gonna be the best fit for this person? Um, but it was really hard because I was like, is it me? Like, does that, you know, is it me? Because she's a therapist. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And but finally I just said, I don't think this is working. I said, I don't want to talk.
Good.
I don't want to talk to you,
That's
and
good.
and she was just like, why you feel like that? I said, because I don't trust you. I don't think that you're very nice to
Mm.
me. I don't trust you. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And now one thing I do know how to do is speak up. But in that situation, I really felt like it must be me. Like, it can't be the therapist. You know what I mean?
See,
Like,
and that already gets my brain going.
yeah.
Is that a pattern for you in other areas of your life where
Yeah.
you kind of feel like, is it me that's the problem here? Instead of looking at maybe this is the dynamic, maybe this is the environment.
Yeah.
And it seems like eventually you're able to kind of say, like, no, 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 no. This is just
Yeah.
whatever is happening here, and I don't
Yeah.
like it, and we can move on. That's kind of
So,
interesting.
I don't think it's me. I do
Hmm.
think there are issues like from childhood. So I never think it's me. So
Hmm.
even in my
So this was
divorce,
different.
yeah, even in my divorce, when people say, do you think that, do you take any responsibility like for his cheating and all that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, right? And I was like, no, I don't. And why would I? I think people are going to do what they want to do. Like, maybe could have controlled some of my reactions to it,
That's all we
but
can do.
no, I don't. I don't take any
Yeah.
responsibility when it comes to that. But so I don't really have a problem speaking up and taking ownership and stuff. But what I will say this, like, sometimes I feel like I want to write. So someone
Mm.
first asked me, why don't you write a book just about your experience and things that have happened? Um, and my mother is still alive, so I don't think I would write a book because I don't want to hurt her.
Yeah.
And not like she was abusive, but there are things that happened that she doesn't even know about. And I think my mother's like 78,
Hmm.
78, something like that. And whatever time she has left, I just want it to be happy.
Yeah.
I don't want to
No
cause any
drama.
angst
Mm-hmm.
because of me, her only child. Um, and I think that, somebody said, just talk to her about it. And I was like, I haven't even talked to you about it. You know what I mean? Like, I just, you know what I mean? But I do think it would be cathartic for me. But I just don't see it ever happening.
Write it and then just wait. But I understand. I understand that having these stories that you need to tell that makes sense, and the book wouldn't be what it is without those stories, but also not wanting those stories to harm or hurt anyone in your life.
Yeah. So
I get that.
I do think that. And I think because of some of the things that have happened, it showed up for me in how I parented. So I was definitely the overprotective mother. Like my kids did not do sleepovers or anything like that. So I think it showed up for me in that way. And I think that so my father was killed when I was 6. And I think that so it didn't show up to me being promiscuous, but it did show up. And even being divorced, I think it still shows up for me that I sought out men that I thought would be protective, father-like protective, like, hey, did you get there? Did you get there? You know, whatever. Loving, understanding, and able to be leaders. And I think that's why I stayed in my marriage as long as I did, because I wanted them to be with their dad, because I wasn't. But not only for them, but maybe I was still looking for a dad, like that dad figure, and maybe even using them as an excuse. But what I realized is he wasn't even giving me the dad figure I needed. Just to be honest,
it was just sometimes it was more than nothing.
It was more than that's it. It was more than nothing, but it really wasn't what I needed. And even as I date today, it is still that they have very strong personalities. And they remind me of like old school dads. They're still loving. They're very loving, but they're, it's still that. Like I think I'm still chasing that stability to me that I remember. I was 6, but what I remember is my father was very, very stable, very consistent, very protective, and very loving. So I still think I'm chasing that. And if it comes up that somebody is not going to be capable, then I don't want to waste time.
Which is okay, right?
It is okay.
Because those are all such good attributes in a person, right?
And I'm not looking for perfect.
Yeah.
But there are certain things I really do need that I think that I kind of missed out on, and I'm not going to settle. You know what I mean? So,
but and as we work on our own wounds, then it also makes things more clear now in our life now. But all the attributes you mentioned were so positive, right? Because a lot of the time when I meet with people who have similar kinds of dynamics, or they're kind of looking for somebody to kind of replace that missing piece of them, then they can run into the risk of finding someone that might be a little abusive, a little overly controlling. And Dr. Laura used to always say, I used to love Dr. Laura. Did you listen to Dr. Laura?
Yeah.
She was great. She used to say
the phone.
You call up and they ask all kinds of wild questions, and she got in trouble for being an entire mess. But entire mess. But she used to say that people confuse an alpha man for assholes. You confuse alphas for assholes.
I could see that.
And being powerful and strong and someone who's able to, lovingly take charge and do those types of things is different than a lot of these guys that people are actually drawn to. So I'm glad it doesn't seem like that's a big part of your challenge.
No, but I'm sure I do. I still think that my youngest just turned 21, and I still think that I am
Black don't crack.
Thank you. I am probably over. I have to step back because she pushes me back, but she still calls, and you know what I mean. She creates clear boundaries for me. But if not, I'd be like, "Hey, got your jacket? It's supposed to be real cold." You know what I mean? So I have to, but I am a mothering, nurturing kind of person.
And when do you stop? You never stop being a mom, right?
I don't. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that when people are talking about matching energy, you hear that a lot as you are dating. Well, if he ain't calling, I ain't calling, And that's, for me, I don't want to match energy. If the energy does not come natural to me.
Exactly.
I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? But maybe it's because of I'm older, I've been through a lot of whatever. I'm not interested in that. I'll walk away.
I'm not playing the game. I absolutely agree with that. When I was in my 20s, I would definitely do the whole well, he texted me 10 minutes ago. Yeah. So now I'm going to give 10 minutes to my text, and he texted this. I went in my 20s, and then I was like, this is insane. Like,
Yeah.
this is exhausting.
Right.
It's not authentic. And then I just
Right.
got into this space where I was like, I'm just going to be completely authentic and I am me. And if you don't like it,
Oh,
I don't know what to say.
Keep it moving.
Right? Because if you
Right.
end up marrying me, this is what you're going to see.
Right. Every day.
Every single day.
Yes.
So,
yes.
so that's why I actually ended up
Yes.
marrying my best friend, someone that I
Oh, you
actually knew
did?
from college.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you? Were there sparks in college, or were you guys seriously just friends?
We were seriously just friends. I keep joking with him, and I'm
Really?
like, "You were just waiting. You loved me the whole time because I'm like," right?
How
And he's
could you
like,
not?
actually, no, not at all.
Really?
We were actually just friends. I would talk to him about the guys I was dating. So now my husband does know
Yeah.
just about everything about my dating history because I will call him up
Yeah.
during when the things
Oh
are
my
happening.
gosh.
Yeah.
So then, okay, so this is all in college. So when does it turn? Or how do you know, like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
how does it?
It was like 2015 and we graduated in like 05.
Okay. Oh,
And so it was like
wow,
10 years
Yeah.
later.
And you kept in contact?
Yeah, we
Okay.
talked all the time over
Yeah.
those 10 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I graduated in 05, but he got to the school in 02. I was
Okay.
there in 01, but he got there
Okay.
in 02. And so we'd known each other since then. And yeah, he ended up moving to California
Yes.
for a job in the South Bay. And I was just like, oh, let me hook you up with one of my friends.
You're
Like, this is going to be
kidding.
great. Yeah, I hooked him up with one of my friends. It just, I don't
Yes.
think it started. It
Yes.
just wasn't a
Yes.
thing. And then I asked him to do a photo shoot for me and my friends because we had like a consulting firm.
Yes.
And he came into the room when I was like getting ready. I was like putting my makeup on, finding my jewelry and stuff. And he just like leaned over and kissed me. He's really tall, so he had to lean over.
Yeah.
And he like just kissed me and then walked away.
Really? And you guys had never kind of
Never.
flirted?
Never.
Or nothing?
And I was kind of like, huh. I was like, he's a really good guy.
Yeah.
He's hot. He's tall. He's like
Yes.
6'6", 6'5".
Oh, he is tall.
I
Yeah.
was like, he played college, but he
Yeah.
played basketball at our school.
Yeah.
And I played softball there. So, the kind
Oh,
of like
well,
the little
yeah. Okay.
athlete
Yeah.
section. And I was just kind of like, maybe, okay. I was like, because he was almost, he was a very nice guy. And I was
Yeah.
definitely into some knuckleheads. And I definitely,
We all did that.
ooh, girl.
Good girls love bad guys.
I don't know if I'm a good girl, but I like that
You look like a good girl.
it looks that way. I
Yeah.
love it. But yeah, so then I was like, you know what? Give it a chance. Go on a date or two and see how you feel about it. Because initially I was kind of like, I don't know, because I
Yeah.
didn't want to ruin the friendship.
Oh,
I didn't
yes,
want to,
yes.
like, if it didn't work out, how is it going to feel if I'm like dating somebody else afterwards or whatever? And we dated for 2 months and he like came to my apartment and he was like, I don't want to be with anybody else. Like, you're the one. So the next month we moved in together and we were engaged. Soon after that, we took a while to get engaged because my sister got engaged and I wanted her to
Okay.
have her
Yes.
whole
Yes.
year of
Oh,
wedding because I knew
yes.
we were going to be together.
Yes.
It wasn't even a question for me. So I was
Yes.
just like, whatever. So my sister had her whole wedding,
that was
engagement
nice.
year, all
Yeah.
of her space, and then we got engaged. And so, but we were living together from
Oh.
like 3 months.
Really?
Because we were just like, oh, this is it. This feels
So
good.
what did you ever ask him, what prompted you? Was he just like, I'm tired of hearing your stories about dating other guys? You were single, I was single, it was perfect time. Like, what? Have you ever asked, like, what? So in that moment, what made you do that?
I don't
Did
think
you-
I ever have. I
I
don't think I've
wonder,
ever
was it
asked him.
planned? Like he said, when I see her, the next time I see her, I'm gonna kiss her.
I don't know. I'm going
Let's
to ask
see.
him. I wish I could call him up right now. He's at a photo shoot right now, so I
Yes.
can't call him.
Yeah, I wonder.
I'm going to
You
ask.
know what I mean?
And I asked so many questions. I'm surprised I haven't
Yeah.
asked this. I'm all penetrative in his life.
Yes.
I'm going to ask. And I'll call you up.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Okay, so do you guys have kids yet?
Mm-mm.
Do you even want kids? And should I be even asking that?
I don't mind. I am on the fence. I think children are beautiful. I think children
Yeah.
are wonderful.
That's
They
fine.
are,
Be an aunt.
they're just
Mhm.
amazing, right? But I'm still my mother's child, very much so, even at my very grown age.
Mhm.
And I'm like, that's hard for me to think about how I'm going to have somebody in my life for the rest of my entire life
Mhm.
that will always
Yes.
be connected to me. And I get a little panicky, right?
Yeah.
Like, what
mhm,
if I
mhm.
don't like them?
Yeah.
What if they don't like me?
Right.
What if, but I think we're going to look into that
Yes.
soon. This is something I do
Is
talk
it
a lot
important
about.
to him?
We are both very much so,
Okay.
51%, like in
Okay.
favor of children, like
Okay.
51. We're
okay.
like
Yes.
barely.
Yes. Yes.
So that's really good that we're both
Right.
very much on the same
Oh,
place.
perfect. Yeah.
So there's no pressure.
Yeah.
So I could kind of see us not doing it just because we're
Yes.
kind of not
Right.
pressured about it.
Right.
But I speak about this a lot on my social channels. But I just had a fibroid surgery
Okay.
to remove my fibroids.
Okay.
And
Everybody in my family has said that.
Everyone I know is getting
Yeah.
their fibroids removed right now.
Yeah.
It is wild. And so I'm starting to realize that even if I had tried it, actually the way that mine were, because
Yeah.
they normally don't impact fertility,
Okay.
but the way that mine were kind of
Yes.
situated, they
Yes.
they probably would have.
Oh, it wasn't your time.
It wasn't my
Period.
time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just got them out in March.
Yeah.
And so I'm like finally feeling
Yeah.
like back in my body and feeling really good. And so I'm like, well, maybe we, think about it now.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You heard it first here.
Yeah, I know. Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so then let me ask you this. What, if you could do any project, what do you want to do? Is it on TV? Is it podcasting? Is it radio? Is it, I am the new Dr. Laura?
I know.
What is it?
Right. Oh, that'd be great. Honestly, so many things. I definitely do want something scripted. At one point in the future, something that I can really shape and create that has the mind of like diversity-based mental health.
Yes.
Because, mental health up until, the recent past has been very focused on like kind of the white male experience projected onto the rest of us. And now we have amazing researchers and amazing clinicians who are really changing that and decolonizing the mental health space. So I would want something kind of like, I don't know, in that like a television show, like a live action something. I'm not sure, but I would love to have something that I could kind of create in that way. I would love to have a podcast. I've like been on and off podcasts for years and years and years. I had a podcast I did for like 2 years, and now I'm like, okay, I need to do something. And I'm actually working on a book right now.
Are you?
Yes, I am, and it is we don't have a deadline yet, but I have like my agent and everything. And so we're working on it. And that's also been a big dream of mine, is to have that.
Yes.
But I think the next big thing for me would be, I've never been in the scripted space before. And so I think that would be a big like goal for me.
I know you and your mom do a lot of stuff together. Is that a joint project or a solo project?
This would be just, the book is just me.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, my mom is always working on something cute. She has a coloring book right now.
Oh, does she?
She's so cute. Yes, it's amazing. It's on Amazon. Check it out.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, the book is just me. It's actually based on a lot of the research that I did back in grad school.
Yes.
And so it's like moving out of that, and it's about beauty, and I'll be able to talk more about it soon. But
Oh, okay. Well, where can they find and follow and be supportive of you?
Okay. So they can find me at AllycinHicks.com.
Yes.
And mind you, my mother is very creative. ALLYCIN.
Oh, I heard that. She was like, you're different.
I'm different. I'm the same, but different, right? There's a lot of Allycins.
Yeah, the same, but clearly different.
Different.
Okay.
ALLYCIN Hicks, HICKS.com.
Okay.
Or you can find me on Dr. Ally on TikTok.
Yes.
Allycin Hicks on Twitter, Allycin Hicks on Instagram.
Okay. And so do you put out a little, like you said you were going to do something, you were thinking about doing something today, like some little video? Do you do like a little live, a little video?
I do videos all the time on TikTok. I am very active on TikTok.
Oh,
maybe too active. I need to cut back. So yeah, find me on TikTok, and then I'm selling a mental health card deck that right now is in pre-sale because I sold out, so I had to buy a whole bunch more.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for them to show up. And so right now we're in
what
pre-sale.
Does that look like? Just like give me one question of what does a mental health, what is it?
Card? Yeah, it's a set of cards.
Yes. So
you pick one card a week, or if you want to do it more than that, and it gives you something to either do, to journal, or to meditate on that will help you to align with your purpose and align better with like who it is you are and what it is you want.
Okay, so if we went to your Instagram, is there a link to that?
Yep, in the link tree, it's called the Do You deck.
Okay. All right. I could use one of those. That'd be kind of
I got you.
Okay. Now, I'm sorry, quickly. Do you recommend I do it every day or weekly?
Weekly.
Okay, weekly.
Because then it takes you a year to actually get through the whole deck because there's 52 cards in it. So it takes time. I like people to
really think
sit
about it
with something. Yeah. Sometimes we move too fast.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That may be me.
You're like, pow, pow, pow.
Did that
3 in a day.
Wasn't that? Yeah. Okay, that would be me.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please go and follow Dr. Ally. You guys know you can use some of these cards to keep us centered, to make us aware of things that we may not. And we all need to be journaling or voice texting or voice memos or whatever. I think that they're really helpful. And not only that, it's so interesting to see where you were, like even 3 months ago.
Right?
Like, yeah, like for me, it's voice memos,
Mm-hmm.
but even the tones in my voice. I could pick up a lot of, ooh, you know what I mean? Like, even if I was saying something super positive, but the tones in my voice, I could be like, it was something was going, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
that's a
something
good
else
idea.
was going on
That's a good
under
idea.
that. You know what I mean? And I don't know if any other person who really didn't know me would know, but when I listen back, I can tell there was,
I'm
yeah,
adding that. I'm adding
yeah,
that in my own
boom,
pocket.
and make it yours.
I'm putting it.
So thank you so much again, Dr. Ally. I'm going to follow you. I'm going to order me a deck of cards, and I'm going to look out for that book. And thank you so much for tuning in. And if you haven't already, if you didn't already know Dr. Ally, thank you for listening to our conversation. You know her now, so go follow her and get yourself a deck of cards and pre-order this book when it is available. But thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, share. I appreciate all of you. Thanks again from the Truly Kenya podcast. Bye.